So this week I was able to see a pretty good movie, and it was called Happy End. But we're not talking about that movie. We're talking about the dumpster fire that is Jurassic World 2, The Fallen Kingdom. Roll the intro. Roll the intro. Roll the intro. Roll the intro. Roll.
I'm okay.
How many can you save?
11 species. Blue is the last of her kind.
You'll never capture her.
We thought you might know someone who could help.
A rescue op. What could go wrong?
So, Jurassic World 2 Fallen Kingdom is directed by Jayona, who's done movies like The Impossible, he's done movies like The Orphanage, he's done movies like Monster Calls. And he's really the only reason I went to see Jurassic World 2, because I didn't really like the first one all that much. I thought it was filled with plot devices, like the Indominus Rex being able to, do whatever it wants, change its go invisible or mask its heat signature, and they had terrible subplots like the militarizing the raptors, and not only that, but it felt like pretty much a carbon copy of Jurassic Park, and so a lot of the movie ended up feeling very mediocre to me, so I didn't really care about Jurassic World 2 until I heard that Jayona was on board. And I will say right off the bat that he's the best part of this movie by a landslide. The cinematography and direction in this is actually spectacular. There's so many shots in this movie that I absolutely loved. There's a couple that stick out in my brain. There's one where a raptor's on top of a house and it's screaming and there's a full moon behind it. And it's this sweeping camera movement with this operatic music, and it's such a great little scene. Just this little tiny scene. I was like, yes, this is great. And then there's a shot right after that of this raptor going to a window and its claws are going on the window and the camera's going down with it, upside down, and it spins right way up and goes into the window. And I was like, yes, that's great. I love that. There are some things here and there that I didn't mind. Like there's a couple horror scenes, like the scene when the raptor's going into that room. There's a shadow of the raptor on the wall, and it's really nice, tense horror that Jayona is sort of known for. So that all kind of works, but that's it. The movie sucks. The movie is a complete train wreck, and it really shouldn't come as a surprise. It didn't really to me, because the movie is still written by the same guys that did Jurassic World and the same guy that did The Book of Henry. So it's not really a surprise that this movie sucks, and it does suck. The movie's fatal flaw is the script is an atrocity. The script is so bad that it's shocking sometimes. It's so bad that I feel like I should take you through the movie, story beat by beat, and explain why it sucks so bad. So I'm gonna do that. Obviously there's spoilers. Basically the story goes as follows.
Hey, Blue. You know me. Come with me. You know you can't stay here. Back your men up right now.
So we open with some people going into the park and collecting a sample of the Indominus Rex, which is a fun scene. And then it cuts to Senate meeting where Jeff Goldblum is pleading with a bunch of senators or random people, I don't even know who they were, senators I think, to let these dinosaurs that are stuck on Jurassic World go extinct, because this big volcano on the island's about to erupt and it's gonna kill everything on the island. And he says, let them go extinct. They don't belong here anyway. We made them and they're going to kill us if we let them live. And so then it cuts from there to Bryce Dallas Howard's character, who is a dinosaur activist. Even though she was on the island when Jurassic World collapsed and she nearly died numerous times, for some reason she's an activist for the dinosaurs to stay alive. But But she gets a call from this guy named Lockwood, who was related to the original owner of Jurassic Park from the first movie, and they say, we want to assemble a crew to go and save some of the dinosaurs at the last second. So if you're in, you're in. And she says, okay, I'm in. And then she gets Chris Pratt to come along, kind of against his will. He doesn't want to, but he does anyway, which is weird again. So they go to the island. They used Bryce Dallas Howard to patch into the systems, and then Chris Pratt goes to look for Blue, the raptor from the first movie. And this is when the movie turns from a decent, well-paced blockbuster into a complete travesty. From here, Chris Pratt finds the raptor, and then they trank it, and then one of them shoots it, even though it was like the highest priority animal, and then they leave Chris Pratt tranked as well on the ground, and then they take the animal and leave, and then they trap Bryce Dallas Howard and this black kid in a little underground facility where a dinosaur comes to come and get them, and it turns out, in the most predictable twist of all time, that the guy that hired them was the bad guy, and he was just going to get the dinosaurs and sell them for a bunch of money, which again, as soon as he comes on screen, it's completely obvious what's going to happen. But what's weird about this is that they try to trap Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard on this island and just to die there, but why would they do that? They're none the wiser to their scheme to sell the dinosaurs, so why would they trap them there in the first place? Why not let them come back and then say, we've sent them to the sanctuary, don't worry about it, here's a check, and go live your life and be happy. And they probably wouldn't even ask twice. They probably would say, we've done a good thing, let's go be happy together, and the movie's over now. But instead of doing that, they just leave them there to try and get killed, but they don't actually just kill them, they just leave them there. If you wanted to, like, destroy the evidence, then why not just kill them? Why not just shoot Chris Pratt in the head after you tranquilize him? Why not trap Bryce Dallas Howard and this black kid in the underground facility and then dump gas on them or something? Because there's a hatch in there, so why not, like, throw a frag grenade and kill them? It's basically the same thing. If you're leaving him to die, why not just finish the job? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But of course they survive getting left on the island, and they get onto this little car that they drive, and it like jumps onto the boat because the boat's going away. And Bryce Dallas Howard like hits the gas really hard, and she pops the car into the loading ramp, which is just open even though they took off, which was weird. Why would they have the loading ramp still open if they're taking off? And why did nobody think to ask these people that just nitro circused a car into the back of their boat what they were doing there? There were so many people in that loading dock that could have seen that, that should have seen that, and then they should have gone up to them immediately and said, who are you and what are you doing here? And then put them in like a lockup or something. How did nobody catch on to them immediately? It doesn't make sense. But then there's a dinosaur that comes to the dock and starts like yelling. He's like, and everyone starts crying for some reason. And then he like stands up and fog goes around him. And then I guess he dies, but it doesn't show it. And it was so corny and bad that I actually laughed out loud in the theater. It was so stupid. Like, if you had like hundreds of dinosaurs running and diving into the water and trying to swim away, maybe that would be sad, but there was just one dinosaur that ended up on the dock and was like, and then everyone cried, and it was hilarious. But then they get onto the boat and they're trying to patch up Blue's gunshot wound, and they use Tyrannosaurus Rex blood to infuse the raptor with the blood. I don't know why that would work. I don't know why putting Tyrannosaurus blood into a raptor's body and transfuse the blood would work. That doesn't make any sense. They end up back on the land, and then they get into the little car that no one suspects is them, and they drive out, and they find out that, oh, the businessman that hired us is the bad guy, because they're driving up to his house with all of these dinosaurs. And all the while, we're kind of cutting back and forth between this A story and the B story, between Lockwood, his niece or granddaughter, Macy, and the business guy who lives in the house. And nothing really happens there. Macy just finds out that the businessman is creating genetically modified dinosaur in the basement, which is dumb. I don't know why no one figured out that there was something in the basement. There's like a keypad on the wall locking a secret door. How did no one see that? That's lame. Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard get found out. They get put in this cage. Again, why didn't you just kill them? But whatever. They get put in this cage, and all these dinosaurs are in cages around them too, and they bring in like this black market of rich people and like gangsters to bid on the dinosaurs so that they can use them for weapons, which is weird and stupid. But anyway, they bid on all the dinosaurs, and all the while Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard are breaking out of their cell. They break out of the cell, they sell all these dinosaurs, and then they unveil the Indoraptor, which is a new type of raptor that can obey commands, except for when it doesn't. And Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris Pratt get out, and they use this dinosaur to wreak havoc, and a lot of people die. And then the head of the military gets the genius idea to come in after everyone's dead. I don't know how he didn't hear an uproar. I mean, he sees it, but he just kind of like wanders around. He didn't think anything was wrong until everyone was like gone or dead. And he walks into this auction room and sees that there's a big dinosaur in a cage and says, "Oh, I didn't see you on the island. This is weird." And he shoots it with a tranq dart, and it falls over, and he says, "Okay, it's knocked out, totally knocked out. I'm just gonna go in its cage and try and pull its tooth out." In the dumbest decision ever made by humans, a guy literally opens a cage to the most dangerous animal ever.
This is the most dangerous creature that ever walked the earth.
That's crossed with the Indominus Rex from the first movie and a super intelligent raptor from the first movie as well. And he just decides to open the cage. And so the raptor, of course, wakes up and kills him, gets out, and then starts killing everyone else, as if that wouldn't have happened. So then Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard find the Macy girl after she figures out that the businessman killed Lockwood with a pillow. And they run around a little bit, and the Indoraptor chases them, and there's a whole bunch of scenes of people running around in the dark and avoiding the raptor, or not quite avoiding it, and it almost got them. Oh, I'm running around. And then they kill the raptor with the other raptor, Blue. It like jumps on it and it falls and gets impaled, and then it dies. And then they go down to the basement, and all the dinosaurs are they let all the dinosaurs out of their cage, but there's like carbon monoxide gas getting in, and they're all gonna die. What are we gonna do? Do we let them die, or do we let them out? And Chris Pratt says, you can't let them out. This is the real world. And Bryce Dallas Howard almost does it, but doesn't. And she says, yeah, this is the right decision. We have to kill him. But then the Macy girl lets them out because she's a clone of the Lockwood's daughter or granddaughter, and she lets them out because they're also clones of the old dinosaurs, and she thinks that because she is alive and a clone, that they should also be clones and alive. And so they get out and they go into the real world, and then Jeff Goldblum says, "Welcome to Jurassic World," and the movie ends.
Welcome to Jurassic World.
It's awful. The movie is terrible. Not only is the script a complete disaster, but it feels like there are two movies just smashed into one. You could have made one movie out of the Island Rescue. You could have made one movie out of the Animal Auction House. You could have made one movie out of both of these ideas, but they smashed them into this one picture, and it's over 2 hours and 15 minutes, I think. This is so bloated and so uneven. Again, it feels like two different movies. The first half is them running around on an island trying to save the animals, only to find out that they weren't saving them and they're just taking them to auction. And then that's the whole movie, is just setting up the fact that Jurassic World is going to be in the real world for the next movie. The dinosaurs are going to be in neighborhoods. Who cares? There's a way easier way to get to this point than to have two different movies smashed together and then just to have another dinosaur that got created by mankind. Why do we always have to have a new dinosaur unveiled that's scarier and crazier than the original one? Why do we always have to have endless scenes of people running around in small places avoiding a dinosaur just by the skin of their teeth? It's getting so tiring at this point. I don't need to see this anymore. We've got Jurassic Park 1, 2, and 3, and now Jurassic World 1 and 2, which is basically just scenes of that in all of these movies. All of these movies end up doing that, where people are running around avoiding dinosaurs by the skin of their teeth. It's so tired now. And it's not just that this little thing is tired, this whole movie is tired. The cliches in this movie get absolutely ridiculous to the point where you can predict this movie beat by beat. You can literally predict lines of dialogue. It gets so bad. Chris Pratt's about to walk out into Jurassic World and Bryce Dallas Howard says, "Hey," and I immediately went, "Be careful, okay?" And then she went, "Be careful, okay?" It's like the most predictable stuff. Everything about this movie is beyond predictable, and it makes everything boring. This movie is straight up boring because it is so predictable. You know exactly where it's going from frame one. As soon as the movie starts, you know where it's going to end. And that's not something good at all. And that's why I call this movie a dumpster fire, is because there are some good things here. Michael Giacchino's score, especially near the end, I liked a lot. The cinematography I liked a lot. But then it's like the most predictable, lazy, contrived, cliche script they could have possibly written. Please, make characters that are actually interesting, that I actually care about, so that these scenes of being chased through corridors actually are tense. The characters in this movie are abysmal. Chris Pratt has one expression the whole movie. This. And his character goes nowhere. His character is nothing. It's not even Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt's usually the charming, kind of happy-go-lucky guy, not in this movie. He barely talks, he barely emotes, he barely does anything. Bryce Dallas Howard's character is the same way. She's actually trying, she looks like she legitimately is trying, but her character is nothing. She just wants to save the dinosaurs until she doesn't. And that's it. That's her whole character. There are no characters. And the character of Macy, who is the genetically modified clone of Lockwood, is a non-character. She is a plot device. Macy is literally only in the movie to push a button to let dinosaurs go. Aside from that, she spends most of the movie walking around in a house and in a little dumbwaiter. That is her whole character. I don't know why Coin Trevorrow still has a job in Hollywood as a screenwriter, because he is not a good one. Jurassic World 1 has an awful script. Jurassic World 2 has an atrocious script. And the Book of Henry has an atrocious script. He is not a good writer. They need a complete overhaul in the writing room in order to make the third one any kind of decent. Because I don't want to see another dinosaur that's genetically modified to be slightly different than another dinosaur chase some people around some dark corridors and barely miss them again. I'm sick of that. Stop doing it. I'm so sick of this. Dinosaurs on their own are not enough to make a movie interesting, and you got to realize that, Coin Trevorrow. Stop this. Make a good movie first. Make something that actually works, and then put dinosaurs as the icing on top. That's the only way this will work. Jurassic World 3 is going to be a disaster if you don't realize this. The writing in this movie is simply atrocious, and it needs to be fixed. And until it is, I don't really care to see these movies anymore. This movie is awful. It had such a good director on board, and it still managed to waste him. So I'm gonna give this one a 3 out of 10. It sucks. If you like dinosaurs, if you like Jurassic World 1 and The Lost World, then you may like this one because it's sort of this hybrid blend of both of those. So that's really the only way that you will like this, if you like both of those movies. And if you don't like one or both, then do not see this, because you will absolutely despise it. So yeah, it sucks. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.